This past week, I actually saw that my subscriber count actually increased, and I think it increased by, I don't know, at least 30 people, 30 subscribers, and that was a lot. Like, I've never seen that increase happening within 48 hours, and I was kind of wondering why that happened. It kind of happened around the time when I was uploading my last Bookish avec video, and that one had a thumbnail featuring the Alice Smith novel. And I was thinking maybe people subscribed to my channel because they saw that my latest video had Alice Smith on it. And I was like, okay, possible? I don't know. At the same time, I was also kind of thinking that what if I have become more clickbaity in my booktubing approach? And instantly I felt kind of guilty inside, because what if I did indeed become clickbaity, and when people click on my videos they were like really disappointed and their day is ruined. So I felt kind of guilty at the time. But thankfully I went to Doris's channel, Oldie Books. I saw that she had this video, shoutouts, and she has a shout out to my channel in that video, and then everything just became clear, and I realized why my subscriber count has increased. So thank you so much to Doris, and I'm pretty sure for those of you who are watching my channel right now, I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar, at least most of you are familiar with Doris's channel, All Day Books. So this week, let's just start this video with a rather negative note. Maybe we can change the color a little bit to make it a little bit more somber and melancholic, shall we? And maybe add a little bit of sad violin music. Or maybe not. I don't want my voice to compete with the music, so I guess this is fine. So we're gonna start with a sad note, because I am going to talk about Dnfs. I know it's tragic, it's sad, it's heartbreaking, and not to mention that this past week I have 2 Dnfs. I know, oh my gosh. The first DNF is actually a book that I initially had as a buddy read with Kim from Becker's books, and this one is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is a big book, and we were hoping at the time to actually finish it within at least 2 months, but I guess after 3 weeks or so we kind of decided to ditch the book, because it was really long and it just didn't feel like it was going anywhere, so we stopped reading it. I thought that this book had nice writing, but I agree with Kim that this book, the plot just, it was still in development stage after I don't know, 30 chapters. So it just didn't feel really satisfying. We just decided to stop reading this book. But I thought maybe I just want to continue it some more by myself. And eventually I just decided that, it just didn't work. The writing is really atmospheric, of course. That's really beautiful. But that's the only thing that I could say that I really enjoy until now. The rest of the stuff, I'm still waiting for that gratification that I feel like I'm not getting. It's like I'm waiting for my food at a restaurant, and the atmosphere is really nice. It's really quiet with nice music. The place is really cool and air conditioned. It smells really nice in the restaurant, but my food still not arrived. So that's kind of how it felt, and I guess there's no choice but to just leave the restaurant and go to the next restaurant, the other food, preferably fast food, which may not be healthy, but at least I'm already hungry. So that's kind of what happened with this book. Not sure if I'm going to return to that restaurant some other time, but I don't know. But of course, I'm not gonna leave a review because I've not really tried the restaurant. So this is going to the DNF pile. Maybe next time, maybe no. I don't know. Time will tell. The other book I am ditching is Gold Boy, Emerald Girl by Yi-Yun Lee. And I can't say that I'm really ditching this book because this one I actually put it at the not the right time shelf of my Goodreads account because the book is not exactly bad. I can't say it's bad. I read 3 stories in this one. This is a short story collection, but it just didn't feel really punchy. The writing is kind of flat, I think. It feels boring, and the story itself, they are not compelling enough, at least so far. I've not read all of them, so I can't really judge the whole book as boring. But from what I've read so far, I just didn't really enjoy the writing. So maybe next time, if I am at a better sense of, I don't know, mind, maybe I would enjoy the writing. I don't know. But for now, everything is going crazy. My work is kind of crazy. My head is just spinning everywhere. I don't think I can really focus on enjoying this book. So for now, I am going to drop it. So those are my DNF for this past week. And it was kind of sad, but it felt like I am, relieving myself of some burden. Yeah, when you say it that way, it kind of sound bad. Anyway, that's it for the negative things. So I think we can revert to color. And here it is. So, what am I reading this week? So this week I actually finished 2 books. One book that I finished was actually something that I mentioned in the last Bookish avec moi video. And this one is Kyung-Suk Shin's I'll Be Right There. And this book was incredible. I love it very much. This is a quiet book. It's very somber. And it's really, it feels really personal, and it's visceral. It is a story about this young woman who just lost her mother, and she attends university in South Korea. The story is set in 1980s. So she attends university, and she meets with this a couple of people whom she finds kind of fascinating, and they become friends. So this book is pretty much just musing on their relationship and what happens to each of the relationships between these characters, and the evolution of these their relationships and things that happen. And because this story actually takes place in South Korea and in the 1980s, things were kind of crazy back then because there was this dictatorship government, and a lot of people were demonstrating at the streets, protesting, and it was really chaotic. It was really violent because the people were demanding for democracy and some change in government. And so it wasn't exactly a very peaceful time in the city where this story takes place, which is Seoul. But I would say that this book, it feels really universal. You don't have to know a lot about that historical side of this story, the historical setting, because this book, it focuses more on the relationships of the characters. It doesn't really matter where you are or where you come from or how much you know about Korean culture. I think this book would really resonate with you if you want to have a book that talks about relationships and just a comfort read. There is going to be some sad bits in this book, of course. It's not going to be a happy book. This is a very character-driven book, and I really enjoyed it. Like, seriously, 5-star from me. Oh, and by the way, last video I mentioned that this book gave me serious kimchi craving, and to be precise, it was perilla leaf kimchi. And let me just say that I didn't find any perilla leaf kimchi around. I also didn't buy any normal kimchi. So I just want to declare that I have successfully exercised good self-restraint, self-control over this period of time. So I did not succumb to my food craving, and yeah, I should congratulate myself. So congratulations for me. The next book that I finished was this book by Xiao Luguo. This is a concise Chinese English dictionary for lovers. And I must say that Xiao Luguo's novels often have really dramatic titles, kind of long, this one especially. I also have another one which I'm going to read soon, I'm not sure when, and that is, let me see if I can remember the title, 20 Fragments of a Ravenous Youth. Yeah, that's kind of long as well and kind of dramatic. The first novel by her that I read was UFO in Her Eyes, which I read earlier this year. That one was kind of okay. It was interesting, but it wasn't awesome, like super awesome. This one, on the other hand, is super awesome. So technically this week I finished 2 super awesome books, which made this week really good. And this book is about this woman. She's from China, specifically a small town in China, or a village in China. So she is not exactly the most cosmopolitan person around. And she travels to England to attend a language school where she is going to learn English. And the first time she's in England, when she arrives, she does not have a very good command in English, and she does not really understand English very well. So she has this large communication barriers that, between her and everything around her in England. And it is kind of difficult for her to navigate her life in England. But as she kind of explores England, she meets a guy and they become lovers. And so she lives with this guy, and over there she kind of experiences things, personal things that kind of change her views. And slowly at the same time she's also improving her English. So this is a really classic, I would say, voyage and return novel, where we see like tons and tons of character development happening with the main character. This book, it also, it kind of has some holes or imperfections around. I wouldn't say that this book is really perfect, but there is a way that I would kind of suggest on how to read this book. Personally, I think that this book is better read as a kind of fantasy or urban fantasy rather than a novel of realism, because there are a lot of things that happen in this book. They feel kind of implausible, like the sexual encounters that this young woman experienced. But overall, I think that this book has a really lovely voice. It has a very distinct voice, very special. It's not plain, and that's why I really loved it. So I gave it 5 stars also. So 2 5-stars book this week. Isn't that awesome? So on to the books that I'm currently reading. Basically, I have tons and tons of books that I actually put in my currently reading shelf on Goodreads. So I'm not going to talk about all of those books. Instead, I'm just going to focus on books that are, or books that have caught most of my attention, and books that I shower most of my affection on. And yeah, the first one that I'm reading is actually the book that I talked about in the last Bookish avec video, and that is Alice Smith's How to Be Both. Now, this book has a really special writing style, and so it feels like it has this really unique voice to it, and I like that. and at the same time the story so far is also really lovely. I can't say what this whole book is about. However, from until the point that I've read so far, it seems to be about this main character, a young girl named George. She just lost her mother, and she's kind of processing her grief in her own ways, and she has been doing weird things, and around that time she meets with another girl from her school named Helena or Hesh, and they become friends. And it is from there that George is able to kind of like be happy again after she becomes friends with Helena. But I'm not sure what is going to happen after that, so I need to read more into this book. But so far, I'm liking this one. It's really enjoyable, and I'm really curious to see what is going to happen. And as for the photo, I was enlightened. Okay, and I already know who are these people in the photos, and safe to say that my YouTube search history, my Spotify search history has become slightly different. Kind of interesting also. I've heard some of the songs, so they are quite nice. It feels like you know this book is able to kind of provide that additional atmospheric experience for me, with all of these Google searching, triggered by this photo. So yeah, the cover is really unique. The second book that I am reading is Restoration by Germain, and you must have remembered me mentioning this book from the last two Bookish avec videos. Basically, I actually started reading this book last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago. But I have been putting off reading this book because there were other books like really caught my attention. So this book was kind of abandoned. But after I read until at least page 24, I felt that this book is really nice. I really like the witty style of the writing. It's kind of funny at some places. It's really nice, really easy to follow. So basically, this book is about this character named Robert Merivale. He is in his 30s, and this story takes place in the 17th century I think it's in England, I think. And so Robert's father has been working for the king as a shoemaker, and the king really likes his father. But then one day his father dies in a fire, and so the king summons Robert. Now Robert is actually studying to become a physician, and when the king summons Robert to the court, he wants Robert to become kind of like a physician of the court, with one condition, that is he's able to cure the king's dog. And well, the Robert is able to cure the king's dog. I mean, that's a really minor spoiler, I guess, because it's happening in the first chapter, so not a lot happening so far. And he is kind of accepted into the court as a physician working under the king, and I guess the story is going to start from that. Also, very interested to see what happens. Okay, next book that I'm reading is Sally Rooney's Normal People, and I must say that I was kind of interested to read this book because a lot of people were talking about it, and it was really hyped, and I was late into the hype, but I just kind of bought it because I saw it at the store, and I was like kind of interested to see what the book is all about. And so far I've read like 20 something pages of this book. I felt that the writing is a little bit flat, and I'm not exactly sure what this book is going to be about, but it seems to be having these two characters, Marianne and Connell. They aren't doing much so far except for talking to each other and having sex and applying for colleges. So yeah, I'm not sure what this story is going to be about, what is going to happen between these two guys. I'd like to know. But at the same time, I just felt a little bit kind of demotivated by the fact that the writing is kind of bland. It feels really vanilla, and even vanilla is actually a really good flavor. But so this one is kind of, I don't know, it's flat, and but still I felt interested in knowing more about the characters because so far I have not seen the meat of this book. And last but not least, the book that I just picked up recently is The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. And the main reason why I wanted to read this book is because I just kind of wanted to try a little bit, something a bit different, horror. And I was hoping that this book would make me feel scared. Because so far I have never feel scared reading a novel. Usually I only feel scared by a media that is more visual. Yeah, so that's really scary. But novels, so far novels have never scared me. So I'm really curious to see if this one is going to scare me. I've read like 20 something pages of this book as well. It's a really tiny book actually. But in these 20 pages, there has been no action so far. It's just exposition. So I can't really judge much about this book, and I can't really tell much about what is happening in this book as well. Let's hope that this book is going to make me feel something. So you might be wondering if I have acquired any new books this week or if I have not bought any books, and well, thing is, I don't know. I don't want to tell anything about that because, well, I just kind of want to keep that, at least for this video, that air of, mystique and, this mysterious aura. And you never know if I bought any books or not. Not that you would care, I think. But anyway, I don't think I have anything interesting to say about any new books because I have been trying to buy less books. I don't know, maybe in the future I might exercise another, self-imposed book ban. Not book ban, book buying ban. So that's it, I guess, for this week's Bookish avec moi. And I'll see you again in a different video. So until then, take care, bye bye, and thanks for watching.